Please be seated. And if there's anyone who'd like to join me for the story, now's a good time to come on up. Under 5 feet, over 5 feet, doesn't matter. Come on up. Connor. Come on up. Gather, huddle in close for warmth. Are you excited about a day off tomorrow? Yeah? I'm not sure your parents are, but you are. Hey, Joss. Well, hello there. So our story today is about a man with a kind of interesting name. His name is Bhoomi Daku. I know, isn't that Bhoomi Daku? And it's a very, very old story from a very, very far away place. So the names are a little different. Now, it's about Bhoomi Daku and a guru. Does anybody know what a guru is? Did you ever hear that word, a guru? Oh, you've heard it though? A guru is a teacher, a very, very wise teacher. Now, there was a guru who was traveling through Bhoomi Daku's village. And Bhoomi Daku really, really wanted this guru to come and have dinner with him. But the thing you have to know about Bhoomi Daku, there's not really a nice way to say it. He was a robber. He was a thief. That's pretty much what he did. So if there was a thief living in your village and you knew that he snuck in and stole your stuff, would you like him? No. So, nobody really liked Bhoomi Daku. He was a thief. You don't like him? You do. Well, this guru was traveling, and so Bhoomi Daku went out to the road to meet him and begged him, please, 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 would you come and have dinner with me? And the guru said, I will if you make 4 promises. So help me remember these. The first one is that you can't steal from poor people. They don't have enough as it is, so it's not fair. So you can't steal from the poor. And the second is that you always have to speak the truth. The third is that you can't steal from someone's house where you ate their food. Okay, so if you visit somebody and you eat their food, you can't steal from them either. And the fourth is that you will never put the blame on anybody else. Okay, so I can't say, it wasn't me, Connor did it. Right? I can't put the blame on anybody else. If you make all 4 of these promises, I will come to your house. So Bhoomi Daku promised, I swear, I will keep all 4 of these promises. So the guru went to his house and they had a very lovely evening, a great dinner. And Bhoomi Daku felt really happy and lucky that this wise and wonderful man had dinner with him. So later that night, Bhoomi Daku went out as he always did to steal. And he realized what was the first promise. Right, he couldn't steal from the poor, so who could he steal from? The rich, exactly. So you know where he went? He went to the palace of the king. Now, of course, who's outside the palace of the king? Guards. So there were all these guards out there, and he tried to sneak around the corner, but a guard saw him, and he said, hey, who are you and what are you doing here? And Bhoomi Daku remembered the second promise, always speak the truth. So he looked at the guard, and he said, well, the name's Bhoomi Daku, and I'm here to steal from the king. And the guard laughed and laughed and laughed and said, oh, you are a funny fellow. You must be a friend of the king. Please, sir, come right inside. And Bhoomi Daku thought, that guru is smarter than I thought. I got right in. So he looked around in the palace, and there was gold and jewels and treasure everywhere you looked. So he took out his bag, and he started to fill it up. And when his bag was full, he was about to leave when he smelled something so delicious. He had to figure out what it was because it smelled like chocolate cake. And that was Bhoomi Daku's absolute favorite food. So he smelled and he followed the scent all the way into the kitchen. And when he got in the kitchen, he opened up the oven, and there was the most beautiful chocolate cake he'd ever seen. So he pulled it out of the oven and he cut a big piece. And he ate the chocolate cake, and he went to pick up his bag, and he went, uh-oh. What was the third promise? You can't steal from somebody whose house you ate their food, and he ate the king's chocolate cake. So he dropped his bag, and he decided to give it up for the night, and he just went home. Now the next morning, the king wakes up, and he goes to the kitchen, and he sees that there's a big piece of cake missing, and he sees this bag of gold and jewels lying on the floor, and he said, oh, somebody was here and tried to steal from me. So he gets all the guards, and he tells the guards to go to the village and to figure out who did this. So the guards go to the village, and they start asking around, and of course nobody knows anything because it wasn't them. So the guards get mad because they can't figure this out. So they start breaking into people's houses, and they're throwing their furniture, and they're breaking their dishes, and they're opening up their cupboards, and they're dumping out their food. And Bhoomi Daku heard the people crying, stop, stop, it wasn't us, stop. And he remembered the fourth promise, never blame anyone else. So he went running out to the guards, and he said, stop, it was me, I did it, I was the one in the palace last night. So they took him to the king. So the king said, what were you doing? So he told him the whole story about the guru traveling through, and he had to make these promises, and he couldn't steal from a house, and he ate the chocolate cake. And the king said, but why did you confess? And he said, well, because the fourth promise was never let anybody else take the blame for what you've done. So the king said, wow, I'm really impressed with your guru and with you for keeping these promises. I'm not going to punish you. Go home. And Bhoomi Daku said, but what about all the people in the village? You ruined their furniture and their dishes, and now they don't have food? What about them? So the king decided to throw a huge party that day. He invited everyone in the village, and he would send them home with sacks and sacks of food and new furniture and new dishes, and he replaced everything that was broken. And during the party, Bhoomi Daku stood up tall in front of everyone, and he said, I don't know where that guru is now, but I kept his 4 promises, and they've changed my life. And now in front of all of you, I'm going to make a 5th. I will never steal again. And the villagers were thrilled to hear this, and the king was happy to hear this, and Bhoomi Daku felt great about himself, and everybody had chocolate cake together, and they lived happily ever after. So, when you're about to make a promise, I want you to remember Bhoomi Daku, and remember that the promises you make can really change your life. Thanks for being such great listeners. We're all going to stand up, and we're going to sing you out to your classes.